Hello everyone, how are you all doing today? And here is a jazz transcription that I'm going to give you some lessons on how to transcribe this piece. And this piece has been played on the Weather Channel during the October 2004 playlist. And I wanted to give you a few instructions before we start transcribing this piece. First of all, you will want to structure the piece in 4/4 time throughout. There are no time signature changes. All will remain the same. And what you are going to do is there is this introduction for 8 measures, and then you will transcribe beginning at measure 9 of the piece. This is where after the piano plays the introduction, and you will notice that there will be a lot of recapitulation throughout the piece. So here we go, everyone. The first thing that we have to do for this piece is when the melody starts, you'll start on the first beat of measure 9 and you will do E flat, 8th note, and 16th notes F, G flat. Full beat rest, and then 8th note B flat, 8th note A flat, and then another full beat rest for measure 9. And for measure 10, you will do 8th note D flat, 8th note C flat, and 8th note B flat tied to a half note B flat. And the 4th beat gets the rest. And for measure 11, this will be the recapitulation of measure 9, which is going to be the same pattern as before, which is E flat, 8th note, F, G flat, 16th notes, 2nd beat rest. Beat 3 will be 8th notes B flat, A flat. Then 4th beat, whole rest, and then E flat, C, E flat at measure 12. And then E flat will be tied to a core note. And then measure 13 will be the recapitulation of measures 9, 11, and 13, which you'll recognize the same pattern as before. And measure 14, you'll realize that it is another recapitulation of measure 10, which will go D flat, 8th note, C flat, 16th, and C flat, B flat, tied to a half note B flat, and then you'll get a full rest on measure 4. And then measure 15, you will go you'll do the recapitulations of measures 9, 11, 13, which basically will be every odd measure. And then for measure 16, you're going to do F flat, 16th, E flat, 16th, C natural 16th, E flat 16th, and then you'll tie over to a core note E flat with 2 measures of rest. And then for measure 17, you'll do an 8th note rest, B flat, 8th note, 16th note A flat, and dotted 8th A flat tied to a core note A flat. And then next comes a full beat rest at measure 17, And then measure 18, this is the tricky part. Because a lot of the 16th notes are kind of tied to like 8th notes that will seem to get you off. But here's the drill. You're gonna do a G flat, 8th note, A flat, 16th note, B flat, 16th note, tied to another B flat, 16th note, which will be kind of like 8th note, and D flat, 8th note, and B flat, 16th note, tied to another B flat, 16th note, and to a dotted 8th A flat with a 4th beat rest. And then for measure 19 is going to be an 8th note G flat on beat 1, followed by 16 notes A flat and B flat, tied to another 16 note B flat, down to an 8th note G flat, and then 16th note A flat by a quarter note A flat tied together, and the first 16th note of beat 4, but then the G flat, A flat, and B flat 16th notes are not tied, but the beats will be the E of beat 4, the AND of 4, the of 4 is B flat. I will repeat this again. The E of 4 will be 16th note G flat, AND of 4 will be a 16th note A flat, and the of 4 will be a 16th note B flat as well. But make sure you're careful for measure 20, because measure 20 you will be doing kind of like a drag triplet, except the rhythm will go a C natural dot 8th note to a 16th note E flat tied to an 8th note E flat, and then D flat 8th note tied to a D flat half note for beats 3 and 4, and then measure 21 will be the end of the tied D flats with a quarter note beat 1 D flat, and then followed by a full beat of rest, and then the second part of measure 21 will be E flat 8th note followed by a dotted a dotted 8th note E flat on beat 3, followed by the A of 3 D flat, and followed by a quarter note D flat on beat 4. But remember, these two notes are tied together. And carrying on to measure 22, you will tie the D flat quarter notes together, and it will carry on from beat 4 to beat 1, and second beat of measure 22 will go D 8th note, F 16th note, and A flat 2 16th notes tied together, then B flat 8th note, followed by 2 16th note that are E flat, and followed by a dotted 8th note D flat. And for measure 23, this is a very tricky piece. Which will be E flat 8th note followed by D flat 16th, followed by 2 16 notes tied together, E flat, 8th note C natural, followed by two 16th notes tied together, D flat, which will be C natural 16th notes, followed by C flat 16th note, followed by a B flat 16th notes tied together, followed by a dotted 8th note A flat. And for measure 24, you'll do, which will be D flat core note, E flat core note, D flat 8th note, and 8th note E flat. For beat 1 of measure 24 will be core note D flat, E flat, D flat, E flat 8th notes, and then that'll be it. But on to the next part. You'll have 4 measures of rest from measure 25 through 29. As you all know, that the time signature never changes for this piece. And so, beginning measure 29, you will basically be doing a recapitulation of the theme between measures 9 and 17. Which is going to be an 8-measure recapitulation of measures 9 through 17. And the drill will remain the same for measures 29 through 37, but except in measure 32, you will have to add in an additional 16th note, as well as in measure 36. And I wanted to give you an idea on how it's done. Well, first of all, what are we going to do is we are going to put 4 16th notes and a core note with the last 16th note tied to the core note. But the notes we play as follows will be F flat 16th, E flat 16th, C natural 16th, and then an E flat 16th note tied to a E flat quarter note. And the same thing will occur for measure 36, which will go F flat 16th note, followed by E flat 16th note, followed by C 16th note, and followed by an E flat 16th note tied to an E flat core note, with 2 measures with a 2-beat rest. And you will all know that the drill is the same as the very beginning, from measure 9 to 17. So hope you get this, folks. But for measure 37, you're gonna do another recapitulation of measures 17 through 24. But however, you're gonna do something a little different towards the very end of this transcription. Well, what you're gonna do is everything will remain the same until almost beat 4 of measure 43. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna write down an 8th note E flat, followed by a D flat 16th note, and 2 E flat 16th notes tied together, followed by an 8th note C natural note, followed by 2 16th notes tied together, and an 8th note C flat, and then a 8th, no, a 16th note B flat, followed by a tied 16th note, followed by a quarter note B flat, which is going to be tied together from the 16th note to the quarter note. And make sure that you remember this drill that I have given to you from measures A17 through 24. And make sure that you know the instructions on how to transcribe the piece by using your ear training. But for the end at measure 44, everything is just like measure 24, which is just as simple as before. And you're going to go D flat chord on beat 1. Beat 2 will be 8th notes E flat and D flat. And then third beat will be an 8th note and E flat. And do you remember what key signature this is in? Well, think of it of how all the flats that are involved for this piece. And so that will do it for everyone. I hope that you all get the idea on how to transcribe Reunion by William Green, and make sure that you use your ear training skills to transcribe this piece as accurately as you can. So thank you very much for tuning into this live stream, and until I'm back on, I will see you guys soon. Bye bye.